But I think we are good to go because the sound's all right.
Yeah.
So we've got to welcome Otto Wallin to October Red Boxing. First time guest. Welcome and thank you so much for your time. You're in the Pug Gym in London. Obviously, you're over here doing some bits with Chisora. But talk to us about what you've been up to.
Yeah, so I live in New York now. I've been there for 5 years. So I'm training out there with my trainer, Joey Gamache. We've been together for about 9 years now, I think. And we have a great relationship. And I'm there just training and working and trying to secure a big fight. But I haven't got any fight locked in yet, but hopefully it will be very soon.
Your journey then, I mean, I know you were supposed to fight Dillian Whyte, I think it was a year ago or so now. Talk to us a little bit about your journey, because like you said, you're in the midst of trying to secure, yet again, another big fight. Let our viewers know a little bit about your journey as a boxer and kind of like your trials and tribulations and stuff that you've wanted to achieve and maybe not been able to achieve them yet.
Yeah, I mean, I started boxing when I was 15 as an amateur in Sweden, in my hometown, Sundsvall. It's a smaller town with about 100,000 people. So I started boxing there. My father used to be a boxer. He was a trainer. My older brother also was doing some boxing. So I started then, and I had played other sports before, like ice hockey and soccer and a little bit of swimming. But when I first stepped into a boxing gym, I just felt that was for me. That was exactly where I needed to be, and it was just a great feeling to have at that age. And I just knew what I wanted to do, so it was great. And then from there, started fighting. I had about 46 amateur fights. I tried to qualify for the Olympics in 2012. It was a little bit too early for me, so I lost my first fight there. And then I think I had like one more fight, and then after that, and then I turned pro with Sauerland in Europe. So I was there, had about 20 fights in Germany, Denmark, and Sweden, and different places. And then I moved to America because my trainer that I had met through Sauerland, Joey Gamache, we were in Denmark for about 4 or 5 years, and then he decided to move back to the U.S. So I followed him there, and at that time, my contract ran out with Sauerland, and I got an offer from Dimitri Salida, so I signed with him. So I'm still signed to him now, and yeah, since then I've had about 5 fights or something with him, and my biggest one so far was against Tyson Fury in 2019.
Yeah, I remember that fight well. You were the tricky southpaw that cut him, gave him a nice cut on the eye, and people still talk about that fight till this day, because if people don't understand your amateur career, and I was one of them that didn't know that you qualified to go into the Olympics, you kind of like came out of nowhere, and I'll hold my hands up and say I was one of these guys that didn't really know who you were, but you've kind of covered that because you were mainly fighting in Europe, and obviously when you went over to New York and signed with Dimitri Salita, that's when you came basically to our attention. So you said you've had 5 fights with Dimitri. How long have you been signed with him?
I've been signed with him since 2019. I had one fight with him before I fought Fury against a guy, and there was only one round because there was a clash of heads, and he had a cut actually. He said he couldn't see. There was no blood, so I don't know. I don't know if he wanted to keep fighting, but he has said I can't fight. They stopped the fight. Then in July that year, I was gonna fight BJ Flores, that's now training Jake Paul actually. I was gonna fight him, but the fight was canceled on fight night because he didn't pass his medicals. He had been shot with a BB gun in his head when he was a kid, and the bullet's still there. But he's been fighting with that his whole career. And yes, for this fight, it was in Washington State. The fight was going to be in Seattle or Tacoma, which is next to it. They wouldn't let him do the MRI because I don't know why, but so yeah, the fight was canceled. Unfortunate for me, but yeah, and also that year I had just in May lost my father. He had a heart attack. He suddenly passed away, and then that fight got canceled, and then I landed the Fury fight. So things turned around for the better at last.
My condolences on your father. Obviously, I know it's not nice to lose any parent or anyone that you care about, so sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
So going into that Tyson Fury fight, because we can touch on that, because obviously we know that Derek Chisora is getting prepared to fight Tyson Fury. Obviously, you're a chosen sparring partner because you fought him, you've got that knowledge. Let's go back to that fight. Talk us through it, because obviously since then Fury's gone on to achieve, the trilogy with Deontay Wilder, and now he's going to fight Derek Chisora. So how did you find that fight with Tyson Fury?
Well, I was really happy to get the opportunity because I had been working for so long, just staying under the radar and just working and sparring different guys, and so I was really happy to get the fight, and I felt like I had no pressure at all. I just wanted to go in there and give him, a great fight and just beat him, and I felt like I was gonna do it, and I was so happy because everybody underestimated me, and I just knew that it's finally my time. I'm gonna go in there, beat him. And speaking about my father, he always used to tell me also, like, when you get the chance, you're gonna get it, and you're gonna surprise so many people. So it was great to get the fight, and unfortunately I didn't win, but it was a close fight. He had those huge cuts. It was actually 2 cuts that he had.
I beg your pardon.
So it was a great experience to go 12 rounds with him. And I think that I've become better since then. I beat Travis Kaufman, Dominic Brazil, and then I had to take 2 stay busy fights here. Since Dillian Whyte pulled out, we haven't been able to secure another big fight. So still waiting for that, but I'm just working, and I know that my time is going to come.
And we talk about that patience. Like you said, you've been waiting for opportunities. You got the opportunity to fight Tyson Fury. In the ring, dancing with him, then him as a dance partner, how would you describe him? And I wasn't aware that there's 2 cuts. I'm going to have to watch it again. But in the ring with him, what's it like? And how will that, obviously, your experience help Chisora prepare?
Well, I think that, he fought Chisora mainly southpaw their second fight. And I'm a tricky southpaw, and I know how Fury fights. And, he can be awkward. I knew that we had a really good game plan going into the fight. There was some things there that I felt like people let him get away with, being awkward and dancing and, keeping his hand behind his back and stuff. So I try to stay on him, take that away from him. And I think I did a pretty good job with that. And so I think that I have a lot of knowledge that Chisora can use. And, I'm also a southpaw, and I definitely have the experience and a lot of things to share with Chisora and help him prepare.
You've also sparred, I think, have you sparred with Anthony Joshua previously? Was that in the amateurs or when he was pro? How did that work?
Yeah, I fought him twice in the amateurs. I lost close decisions, but then I sparred him in 2016
right,
when he was going to fight Charles Martin. So I was there for a long time, I think 7 weeks, just going at it with him, and we had must have been at least 150 rounds because he was doing a lot of sparring. He would do 10, 12 rounds 4 times a week. So yeah, it was a lot of work.
And what's it like being in the ring with Anthony Joshua as well? Because I'm sure I've heard whispers that you're a fighter that's name's been mentioned in the mix with probably fighting him.
Yeah, Joshua is a good fighter. I think that he's a bigger puncher than Fury. Fury has some different attributes than what Joshua has, but Joshua is a good fighter. He's still one of the best. He has lost, a couple of fights to Usyk, but it's no shame in that. Usyk is a very good fighter. He cleaned up cruiserweight, and now he's in heavyweight. So we'll see. I'm really hoping to get that fight. I would love to get it.
Do you reckon like you're in a queue of a few fighters that are trying to go for that fight?
Yeah, for sure. Everybody wants to fight Joshua, I think. There's good money there, and he's a big name, and everybody, like myself, can make a good name for ourselves by fighting him and beating him.
It's interesting that you touch on that, because I was going to say, what is the attraction? Apart from the obvious, yes, of course, you're going to get paid because he still is, a brand of boxing that everyone knows, a 2-time world champion. So there's the money side of it. but something that you said there, it's almost like you want to collect his name to beat him and have that name on your record. As a fighter, talk to me about that.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, like when I got the Fury fight, I was really happy that finally people are gonna see me. You know, I've been working so hard for so long, and it's finally my time. And I feel like it's frustrating sometimes, you know, not getting these big fights that I think that I deserve. So I just want to get another fight and just go in there, just do our job on them. And I mean, I'm ready for it. And I just can't wait. And I'm really hoping that it's gonna happen.
Well, we'll definitely keep our fingers crossed on that. But there's something else that you touched on, and obviously as a first-time guest, I've never spoke to you about that before. It was a fight that you were due to have with Dillian Whyte. I know that you've had this conversation with other channels, but kind of like touch on that, what happened there, because that was the first... Why that fight sticks out to me is that was the first Matchroom fight that I got accredited to as media. So I'll never forget that fight. And I remember like the headline was no longer happening. So run us back to that then. Your words, your version. What happened with that?
Well, we secured a fight. Was happy to get it, of course. Felt like it was a perfect fight for me. The WBC sanctioned it as an eliminator for Fury. So the winner was going to fight Fury. Perfect. Training gone well. Had really good sparring. People that fight just like Whyte. And I was ready to go. I packed my bags. In the morning, I'm getting up, go to the airport. But I got a text from my manager saying, don't get on the flight. The fight might get canceled because he says that he has an injury. And after that, stayed home, went to the gym. Still preparing for the fight, of course. And then hearing that he has a shoulder injury. Yeah, that's what they said. They canceled the fight. We tried to ask for evidence of the injury, which we couldn't get. Didn't get anything. Didn't see any evidence of it. Maybe he was injured, maybe he was not, but I don't know. Then, he skipped me, really, and went on to fight Fury. So, yeah.
And the rest, we know what happened there. When you're preparing for a fight, as you do, you prepare diligently, you're getting your sparring in, you're really on top of your game with your fitness, because you're going in against somebody that Dillian is, he's one of these punchers that can take you out with one punch. So you're going to prepare. So that effort that you're putting into the training, and then all of a sudden to be told that that fight's not happening, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, frustrating. I think anybody can get injured, but, just the way things happen was just frustrating, and I would have loved to get the fight. And now that he's fought Fury, he was knocked out. And I would love to get that fight still. I feel like there's some history there, and I want to get that fight, of course.
I think it'd be a good fight for us to see, because even as a boxing fan, it feels like even though it didn't really start, there's unfinished business there. So it's a fight that was scheduled to happen. So why not make that fight happen in the future? Yeah.
I agree, and I hope you can tell Dillian Whyte that.
Yeah, I'll send him the video and say, look, this is what Otto Wallin says.
Perfect.
But yeah, a boxing point of view, we want to see the fights, get mixed up. But another thing that I want to touch on as well, I'm not asking about the sparring with Chisora, because obviously what happens in the gym stays in the gym. Those are the rules. It's nice to see the sparring. When you see Chisora going up against Fury, your advice that you would give to Chisora, a good way of being able to beat him, what would you say is the best way to beat Fury?
Well, I think that is pretty obvious. They fought twice before. Chisora has a good idea of what he needs to do, and he's showing that in the gym. But, it's just a lot of size difference. So he's got to take that height and reach away from Fury. And I think everybody knows that. And he's gotta go after him and do a job on him. And I think that Derek seems to have a good plan, and I think that he can do it.
Well, we're going to soon find out. Are you going to be ringside watching that fight? Are you going to be back here?
Probably not. We see, but I'm probably going to be back in New York training then.
So your opinion then on the heavyweight division as a whole? Talk to us about the fighters that you see, that are coming up fighters that you're looking at and thinking, yep, they're going to be good, or even fighters that you say, I'd really like to challenge? Talk to us about your thoughts on the heavyweight division at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's in a good place. There's some good characters with Fury, Joshua, Usyk coming up. I think that, there's a lot of guys that I would love to fight. And especially Fury, because he's a champion. And, of course, Usyk. But then Joshua, Wilder. There's so many guys. But prospects, I got to give Joe Joyce a lot of credit for what he did with Parker. I think that he's a real threat to anybody. And I rate him high. And, yeah, I think there's a bunch of other guys just below him also.
Do you think there's going to be a few people calling with injuries to avoid fighting Joel Joyce? Because he definitely is a dangerous fighter.
Yeah, I think so. Or I think they won't sign the contract in the first place.
We like it. Any final words from yourself? I know you said you're waiting for some fight news. Any final words from yourself before we say our goodbyes?
Yeah, I mean, I just hoping to get another fight soon. And it's nice to be here in England, and I like it here, and people are really nice, and I feel like I got a lot of support here since I fought Fury, and it's good to be here, and I'm hoping to stay and hoping to come back and fight soon.
Definitely, we'll keep our fingers crossed from you. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Shout out your sponsors. You did say you need to go and speak to them, so you can shout them out, actually. I'm the reason for the delay.
Yeah, thank you. I got to go and do a podcast with my sponsor. There's an American company called Iron Road. So really good guys. And then, I got a lot of good support. So I'm happy for that. I'm thankful.
Nice one. Thank you so much for your time, Otto. And no doubt I'll speak to you again soon. Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.